So for example, we're affecting 2% change every single month with our salespeople. That's 25% over the year.
Hello, I've got John Dougan with me again. Welcome back, John.
Thanks, John.
Hey, John, last time we talked about what makes a great sales manager, great sales leader and so on, and you made a number of very good points there. And one, of course, you focused on is building their coaching capability, which is absolutely key to driving productivity in sales, probably by far the best key to driving productivity.
Absolutely. Well, as I said, John, it is the fundamental way to actually drive sales performance and sales results.
Being it that important, let's talk about it. I'd like to understand more about some of the aspects of that. And we might have to do this over 2 or 3 interviews, if you don't mind. But let's talk about the key thing we need to develop as a capability as a coach and focus on in order to drive that productivity. What is it?
Yeah, and John, I've got to think of that in the sense that there are multiple things we actually need to coach, including behaviours, emotions, feelings and beliefs, and I'll come to that in a little bit. But when we look at behaviour around a specific skill set, what we need to focus on is coaching incremental skill development over time.
I think you discussed that one of the earlier meetings where you use your 10, 20, 70 model. And the 70 model was focus on consistent practice.
Yeah, absolutely. So the 70% is consistent practice that is measured and observed over time. And you're quite right, the incremental skill development is a huge part of that. In fact, it is the part of that. You look at it like let's look at it like a sports person, somebody that potentially is a mixed martial artist, for example. They will focus on one particular movement or behaviour for a set period of time before they move on to something else. And if we do that as salespeople, then we get to actually develop a greater impact on change over a year. So for example, we're affecting 2% change every single month with our salespeople. That's 25% over the year.
That's a great way to put it. And I think you're absolutely right. We watch our sports teams. They train, typically they play one match a week on the weekend.
Yeah.
And they practice leading up to that multiple times during the week. And yet in sales, we expect to throw them out there and perform without any of that practice.
Absolutely. Well, could you imagine if you had one sales meeting to attend every week? How prepared, how focused, how able you would be in that. But the great thing is that, we, as coaches, we also need to coach agility. And the idea of seeing multiple people over the week actually allows us to, improve our craft, or tailor our craft so that agility comes naturally. The same could be said about sports people, of course.
Of course. Now, one of the concerns I would have is, would salespeople get bored with or jaded by focusing on practicing the one thing over a period of time before they move on to another?
And John, we have to be very clear about the coach's role in that, and also what the person is actually focusing on. So let's use the example of maybe outbound call strategy. The cold calling, the comeback kid. Maybe we can talk about that in a little bit later. But they've got to focus as a salesperson on a set of strategies. And that set of strategies is around one specific behaviour, whether it's productivity, whether it's outbound calling, whether it's networking and referrals, whatever it happens to be. They need to focus on that. And the coach needs to focus not only on them practicing those skills and behaviours, but also focus on coaching the emotions that sit around that, the feelings that they have, and also, more worryingly, the limiting beliefs that salespeople create around practicing that behaviour.
Okay, but the key message I've got out of this is the consistent practice. So as a sales coach, that's the key role, is to make sure there is consistent practice happening amongst your team and consistent on one thing until they get that right and move on to the next. I think that's a great message.
Yeah.
Let's come back and talk in another discussion about behavioural change and so on.
Perfect, John.
Thanks very much for your time.
Thank you.